Willie D Live.
What's up, family? Donald Trump, your president, had a visitor today in the White House. You know, when you have company, you got to be on your best behavior. Well, Trump was on his best behavior as usual. He was the center of the show. He was just doing his regular old clown show where he's commanding the room and everybody's acquiescing to him and they're kissing his butt and talking about how great he is and all of his policies and all of this stuff, right? And everything's going just fine as scripted until one brave reporter dared to ask him about his National Counterterrorism Center director, Joe Kent's exit. Yeah, Joe Kent quit. Say, I'm out of here, man, I'm out. But not only that, fam, he didn't just quit. There's Joe right there. He didn't just quit. Joe quit in protest of the Iran war. I ain't got no problem with that. I like it when they fight. I like it when they fight. Yeah, man, I like it, man. I like it when they be in there just boxing, just, I like that. I like it. Yeah, anyway, fam, Trump did not like it. Yeah, man, he didn't like it at all. He didn't like it at all. Joe Kent not only announced that he was stepping down from his position, but he was leaving in protest of the Iran war. When asked, Trump slammed Joe for failing at his very job that he nominated him for, inadvertently exposing his own judgment in choosing an official he once praised. Ain't that something? Check it out.
Mr. President, your Director of National Counterterrorism, Joe Kent, he just resigned today. He said he can't support your conflict with Iran. What's your reaction to that? And did you?
Well, I read his statement. I always thought he was a nice guy, but I always thought he was weak on security, very weak on security. I didn't know him well, but I thought he seemed like a pretty nice guy. But when I read his statement, I realized
I can't let this go any longer. It's messing with me too much. I was just gonna let it play, but I can't. I gotta speak on this right quick. I always thought he was a nice guy, but he was weak on terrorism. Family, do you understand the gravity of those comments? I always thought he was a nice guy, but he was weak on terrorism. But you hired him anyway, knowing that he was weak on terrorism. This is indicative of all of his hiring practices because position after position after position after position in his cabinet is filled with unqualified people. I guess he thought they were nice. At least they were nice. Unqualified, but nice. This is why this nation, even with all of its guardrails, is in the dumps right now. Oh, man. Brace yourself, fam. It's going to get worse before it gets better.
it's a good thing that he's out, because he said that Iran was not a threat. Iran was a threat. Every country realized what a threat Iran was. The question is whether or not they wanted to do something about it. And many people, many of the greatest military scholars are saying for years that president should have taken out Iran because they wanted a nuclear weapon. They were, if we didn't do the attack, or if, I'll go a step further, if I didn't terminate the Iran nuclear deal given to us, one of the worst deals ever made by Barack Hussein Obama. Remember when they sent Boeing 757s over there, loaded with cash, hundreds of millions of dollars? You would have been very happy. This was a wonderful, they said hundreds of millions. People forget that. Does anybody remember? Right? You remember. Hundreds of millions of dollars in a Boeing 757. I think they had two of them loaded. They took the seats out and they put cash. And it was so much that there wasn't a bank in Virginia, Maryland, or D.C. that had any money left. They stripped them of all their money, put it into place, sent it to Iran, almost as ransom. That's not going to happen with Trump. And nobody ever did it.
That's not going to happen with Trump because Trump going to make sure he keep all that damn money. You better believe that money is going to end up in a Trump bank account. Yeah, that's how that go. He cannot keep Barack Hussein Obama's name out of his mouth. You know, he says Hussein just to dig at him. He says Hussein to connect him with his African heritage. He says that, but because what's his name? Hussein, what's it? Saddam Hussein, right? That's really in reference to Saddam Hussein. So he likes to say, add Hussein, I always add Barack's middle name so that the people who support him, you know, the one toots out there, so, and the two teeth, but so that they can, you know, feel good, you know, because that's what they was calling him. Like he's a terrorist. You know, I don't like his name. You know, he's one of them. He's a Muslim, and all this type of stuff. So that's what that's about. He's talking about this Barack Hussein Obama because he knows that that's triggering to the slowpokes.
Anything about, nobody ever said anything. Can you imagine if I did that? So they've been a threat for a long time, but they've really been a threat. If I didn't terminate Obama's horrible deal that he made, the Iran nuclear deal, you would have had a nuclear war 4 years ago. You would have had nuclear holocaust, and you would have had it again if we didn't bomb the site. So when somebody is working with us that says they didn't think Iran was a threat, we don't want those people because, and there are some people, I guess I would say that, but they're not smart people or they're not savvy people. Iran was a tremendous threat. And virtually every NATO nation, and this is the thing, if they told me it wasn't a threat, and therefore they don't want to help, but when they say it was a threat, and it was a major threat, every one of them, I think every one of them, I don't know of one that said they're not a threat, but when they say it was a threat, but we're not going to help, I think they're very foolish. You know, it's interesting.
Okay, fam. He says that Iran is such a threat because, you know, they were going to have nukes. Well, Iran doesn't have nukes, but America does. And when you think about the countries that are a threat around the world, you got to think about the countries who have invaded the most, the countries who have occupied the most, colonized the most. What country has sent troops to foreign countries the most? What countries have sent troops to spill blood in the most foreign countries? You want to take a wild guess? United States, 192 out of 195. They have spilled blood in 192 countries out of 195. You tell me who the threat is. You tell me who the real threat is. America got nukes. Now, just because they ain't blasted one of those nukes off don't mean that they're not dangerous. See, they can hold back on their nukes because of the threat that they have of the nukes and the fact that they've used nuclear war before. They've used nukes before to end wars. Other countries know that they will do it. They know that the United States will nuke a country because they've done it before. So they know that they'll do it. But the United States, so the nukes are the United States' insurance that allows them to run amok with the other less lethal bombs. Well, I don't know how a bomb could be less lethal, but you catch my drift. it don't create as much death and destruction as nukes do. So they have other bombs and missiles that they conveniently use throughout the world to kill people. All over the world, they're killing people. All over the world. And not just the bombs. It's not just the bombs, fam. You also have to think about the sanctions, how sanctions kill people. When you cut off people's water supply, or you cut off the oil supply, and you shut down the energy, you shut down the power, food go bad, transportation comes to a halt. Hospitals have to end up shutting down. They can't perform the necessary surgical procedures that need to be performed. Blood go bad. Yeah. Organs go bad. Organs that are being stored, they go bad, right? So, and then you have people that starve because of sanctions. They cut off the trade pipeline for those countries. So no other countries can help them if you help them, we're going to put sanctions on you too, or we're going to bomb on you too. So since 1996, I think the year is 1996 to today, the United States is responsible for over 36 million deaths because of their sanctions. And that, I do believe, is underreported, because the amount of casualties that the United States pile up for their nefarious acts are always underreported. But Joe Kent, man, I see you, Joe. I see you. Now, here's the thing about Joe Kent now. He's under investigation. Yeah, they investigate him, fam. And they're going to try to put him in jail and make an example out of him. So they're saying that he leaked some information and they want to punish him for that. So hopefully Joe got his ducks in order, but he should. I mean, he knows what type of person he's dealing with. But then again, I don't feel nothing for him, because they're all in the same game. And it was all good a minute ago. No more talk.